We are still 3 months to Election Day, but with the growing attention on the election, political water cooler talk at work could be just around the corner. But it's not just those who work in an office who are dealing with it. If you work remotely, let's face it, maybe you've passed along an occasional snarky meme on Slack or shared a political opinion with a coworker online. Most of you say you're not comfortable talking politics at work. 68% of you, according to a survey from Monster. But despite that, almost the same share, 67% said they have talked politics on the job, and that can sometimes put workers and employers in tricky situations.
That's right. Liz Bentley joins the conversation now. She's an executive coach and the president of Liz Bentley Associates, a consulting firm that specializes in leadership development. Thank you so much for joining us on Main and Wall. And Liz, from a worker's perspective, what are the rules around talking politics at work? Because you just heard it. People, they don't want to, a majority, but then they do.
It is such a challenging time for this, and we're hearing about it nonstop. We're constantly getting calls on challenges with many of our clients and employers who are trying to figure out, how do we navigate this? And some of the biggest struggle is that people are taking politics so personally right now and see it as a value judgment. Pew Research did a project studying the Democrats and the Republicans, and they both described each other, people on the opposite side of the party, as dishonest, immoral, lazy, and closed-minded, also unintelligent. So they're really taking this personal. So how do you navigate this in the workplace? Well, you have to, number one, be very careful, because as we said, people on the opposite side are taking it so personally. The second thing is you have to be aware of how you're coming across, because people are getting so angry during these conversations, which is making people label you and take it personally again, and then think about you in this manner for a long time. Yeah. I think for employers, they have to decide what their policy is going to be. Are they going to be a group that says no politics at work at all? We've got to shut it down. Also, that includes maybe not posting on social media. Or are they going to be open to having a forum where they can create dialogue around politics and have it be done in a healthy manner? In many of these cases, they're getting HR involved, and they're saying we've got to create channels and areas for people to talk and express themselves, because sometimes the workplace is a good place to have this conversation, just because in your own life, you're in so many silos. So it's really a tough call on both the employee side and the employer side.
Well, let's pull some thread there, because 45% of employees that were surveyed, they said talking politics at work affected relationships in the workplaces. You talk about, the identity politics of it all and just the emotion around it. What are the risks of bringing politics into the office, when especially as you talk about, coming up with precautions basically so this doesn't escalate, but what happens when it does? I mean, what's the worst case scenario that you've, heard of in your practice?
Well, there's a lot of risk, and it's both just what you're talking about when you come to work, and also what you're doing even sometimes in your personal life. Because we get a lot of cases where people are posting things that are offending their employers, their peers, their subordinates, you name it. So it's not even just when you come into the office. Sometimes it's even what you're doing at home. But when you come into the office, you have to be really careful, again, because everyone feels this is so contentious. You really have to level your emotions. You have to be careful about the way you discuss your views. You have to not be coming in with a win-all kind of concept, like a win-loss model, where you're trying to get people to get to your side of the equation. You really want to be just talking about the facts or talking about the opinions and being very careful about it.
Well, Liz, let me ask you this, because
a lot of backlash.
We mentioned this earlier about how, some folks work remotely or hybrid, and sometimes you send a Slack, sometimes it's just not even in person. So how do you navigate that, especially, the tone that comes across in writing, and also the fact that it's in writing?
Yeah, again, I think people have to have a heightened alert more than ever before, not to be pushing their side of the agenda, and recognizing how people feel on the other side. Because again, we're having case after case of this, and sometimes you just say something very innocently and think it's funny, and people are getting fired over it. People are losing job opportunities. People are getting left off of emails or left off of group projects. We have a case right now where a client is potentially getting fired over it. So it's coming up all the time, and people have to be really sensitive.
And when you talk about these cases, I mean, how are different types of employees affected? Do you find that there are, certain types of employees that are getting, in these hot positions and topics and dealing with that issue, or, down to a manager level? I mean, who really is impacted most by this?
Well, I think that, obviously, depending on your position in the company, it impacts you differently. If you have a boss who very strongly believes in their views, then the people around them who don't feel the same way are going to feel bullied. If you're, more of a subordinate, you might feel intimidated by saying how you feel, even if you're in a meeting where, half of the people or more than half of the people are talking in one direction and you feel completely different. So, every level of an organization has obviously a lot of different sensitivities. So people who are in power have to be more careful than ever, because obviously the people who are not in power are going to feel intimidated, bullied, and feel like they're not being treated well.
I have like 15 seconds with you. Is there a phrase that you could recommend for somebody to use when they want to diffuse a conversation that it's clearly getting political and you just want out?
I think you need to say things like, I'd rather not comment, or I feel like this is not the place for this discussion right now. And I'd really rather just bow out of these things because they're so intense and people feel so passionate about them. And really not revealing where you even land.
Yeah. All right, Executive Coach Liz Bentley, thank you so much for your insight on that tip. Appreciate it.
Thank you.